Good day, everyone. My name is Ngozi Ajeleye. I am currently undertaking data analysis training with Quantum Analytics. And in this video, I'm going to explain the interactive dashboard for WixSin Company Sales Analysis. But before I delve into explaining this dashboard, I need to first show you the underlying business case questions that I had to answer. So these are the business case questions. I have 6 of them. And to answer these questions, I was provided with 4 different data sets. The first one is for location, followed by manufacturer data. I have sales data, and I have product data. I was now able to consolidate this data together, which you can see right here, and I also structured the table. So this is the consolidated data for WixSin Company. Before I began analyzing, I had to do some data exploration exercises where I was able to determine how many variables of columns that we have, how many rows we have. I was able to determine the minimum, maximum, and total revenue, and also average revenue. And I was also able to determine the total number of sales in this data set. Now, moving on to answer the business case questions, I used the pivot table. As you can see right here, from the pivot table, I was able to pull up the total revenue and also the average revenue. So total revenue is 9.8 million approximately, and average revenue is about $7,000. So these are the charts I used using the pivot table to show a clearer picture of the trend of the sales analysis for WixSin Company. I was now able to pull up all these charts together, which I use to create the dashboard. And here you have the interactive dashboard. For the stakeholders to see clearly how the business has been doing in the last 6 months, I was just able to put at the top of the table total revenue for them to see is about $9.8 million. The year we are talking about is year 2015, and average revenue is $6,959. So let me proceed to analyze this trend. First, I'm going to start with the monthly trend. I can see from here that revenue rises from January to March. Revenue is constant between March and April. And from April to June, I could see a slightly downward trend of revenue. So this is the monthly trend. Moving on to the daily trend, I can see from here that revenue is highest on Thursdays, while revenue is lowest on Saturdays. Then I'm going to move on to the category contribution. So from the category contribution, I can see here that urban category contributes almost 87% to revenue of WixSin Company, while youth contributes about 2% to the revenue of the company. So that explains why we have urban category showing a larger contribution to this revenue. Then I'm going to move on to the state contribution. From here, I can see that there is not much difference between the revenue contributed by Ontario, which is 31.7%, and the one contributed by Alberta, which is 30.16%. But we can see here that Quebec contributed the least to revenue, which is just 2.65%. Then I'm going to move on to the revenue contributed by segment. Moderation contributed the highest, which is about 3.8 or 3.9 million approximately, while all season, youth, select, and regular are contributing not much to revenue. In fact, regular contributed the least to revenue. So all season, youth, select, and regular are not doing much to contributing to the company's revenue. Then I'm going to move on to the top 5 selling products. The highest selling products bringing in $574,000 is Maximus UM-43, while the least selling product is Maximus UM-96, bringing in about $258,000. Here we have slicers. And what do slicers do? The slicers will show the pattern of revenue changing as different indicators are used. So I'm going to first of all start with the mix slicer. So if I click on this, So I can see how the revenue changes by month, how the trend changes by day. And I can also see the trend changing by state contribution. So this is what the slicers will do. Now I'm going to use the Alberta slicer to see how the monthly trend, daily trend, and every other indicators change if we are using Alberta. So I click on Alberta and we can see the changes in the revenue pattern for Alberta. So decisions can be taken region-wise on which product to improve, what strategies to deploy. Let me use another slicer. I'm going to click on Ontario, and I can see that by clicking on Ontario, I can also see changes in the revenue pattern. Okay, so stakeholders can decide to see how strategies can be put in place on how to improve sales in Ontario. Finally, in providing recommendations to the management on how they can help sustain revenue, one of the points I'm going to bring out is that there should be strategies in place to improve revenue by segments, particularly all season, youth, select, and regular. And why do I say this? Moving back to the interactive dashboard, even using the slicers, you could see that these segments are still showing the least in contributing to revenue. If I click on Quebec, almost the same pattern is observed. Okay, so I'm going to suggest to management on bringing strategies in place to sustain revenue in these 4 segments. So thank you for listening. Once again, my name is Ngozi Adeleye, and I've just shown you the interactive dashboard for WixSin Company Sales Analysis. Thank you so much for listening.